Splash story on the front of the Age newspaper is about the cashless welfare card. The headline on that story, cashless welfare card trial failing. And it says a top drug and alcohol treatment centre on the front line of the federal government's cashless welfare card trial says the program is not reducing substance abuse. The largest drug and alcohol centre in Ceduna, a South Australian town testing the cashless welfare card, also questioned the figures Prime Minister Scott Morrison relied on to push towards a national rollout of the card. South Australian Aboriginal Drug and Alcohol Council Chief Executive Scott Wilson, who oversees the Ceduna service that has up to 20,000 client contracts each year, said those in the program still found a way to fuel drug and alcohol addictions. Now, Damien, I know that there are a lot of polarising opinions when it comes to this cashless welfare card. It hasn't just been trialled in Ceduna, it's also been trialled in other places, including Kununurra in the East Kimberley. Of course, the Basics card has been in operation here in the Northern Territory for more than 10 years. The Basics card operates much like the cashless welfare card. What do you think about this debate around the cashless welfare card? We know the government's putting it on the table. It appears to be, in many ways, trying to wedge Labor and see if they'll come out and oppose it. But I think that if you go and speak to a lot of people in those communities, I know the opposition to the cashless welfare card is being featured there on the front page of The Age. There are also a lot of people, particularly women, I would say, in some of those communities who really just do support the cashless welfare card because it means that 80% of a recipient's income has to be spent on things like food and essential items.
Yeah, look, it's definitely a big issue, and I think the thing I'm most passionate about with regards to the topic is that we talk about it, and I'm glad it's on the front page of The Age and the SMH tomorrow, because obviously if the evidence they're using to introduce this trial or propose a rollout of it is flawed, then definitely it should not happen, because we've got enough problems with our welfare systems. And you hear horror stories about robo-debts and all sorts of things happening every day. People are falling through the cracks. And, cashless welfare may not be the magic bullet that a lot of, more conservative people would consider it to be. I'm certainly supportive of, measures to limit discretional spending among people identified as having substance abuse or other issues. Certainly we've seen these trials work to some degree in remote Indigenous communities where they have alcohol management programs and whatnot. So it's clear that the idea of it is a good one, and it certainly needs teasing out. And where we have huge social problems in some of our welfare-dependent towns and cities, and we pushed for a trial for it to start in Townsville when I was up there, just because of the rampant crime and all sorts of things that were going on with the huge unemployment rate we were dealing with up there. It's clear that something may need to happen to try and, if nothing else, incentivise people getting off welfare, because if it's annoying to have your income managed like that, well, maybe it might be easier to go and find employment. But it's hard to have a view that doesn't offend somebody, but I'm glad we're having the debate.
Yeah, it's easy to offend somebody at some stage in this day and age. There's no doubt about that. We might have a look at the front page of the Sydney Morning Herald now. Of course, that cashless welfare card story is also